Keir Starmer, the leader of the Labour Party, is no stranger to making slips or mistakes on live television. While he has had his fair share of minor gaffes, his most recent blunder has ignited a larger discussion across the political spectrum and raised alarm over a potentially terrifying situation that could soon come to pass. The internet, as one would expect, hasn't reacted kindly to this misstep, and Starmer finds himself under scrutiny. In this video, we will be dissecting what exactly Keir Starmer said that has stirred up such a reaction. At the same time, we will take a look at some of the latest headlines and developments from across the UK. But before we dive into the details, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and become part of our growing community. We're committed to bringing you the most relevant news and in-depth analysis. Now, turning our attention to Keir Starmer's recent controversy. When asked directly whether he would follow up the decision to hand over the Chagos Islands to Mauritius by relinquishing control over any other British overseas territories, Starmer did not give a definitive answer. This hesitation has led to widespread concern. The Chagos Islands, part of an archipelago located in the Indian Ocean, had been under British rule since 1814. However, they were recently signed away by the British government as part of an agreement designed to resolve a long-standing dispute between the UK and Mauritius. The transfer of the Chagos Islands came with a promise from the UK government that doing so would enhance global security and strengthen diplomatic relations. Among the islands is Diego Garcia, which holds significant strategic importance due to the presence of a joint US-UK military base. This base is considered vital to both nations' security and military operations in the region. Reporters pressed Starmer on whether he could guarantee that no other British territories would be given up in the future, especially after the Chagos deal. His response was notably vague, and this ambiguity has led to further questions about the Labour Party's stance on maintaining British sovereignty over its overseas territories. Starmer's comments, or lack thereof, have fueled concerns that more territories could be at risk of being ceded. To add fuel to the fire, shortly after the Chagos deal was announced, Argentina expressed renewed interest in reclaiming the Falkland Islands, which the Argentine government refers to as the Malvinas. The Falkland Islands, located in the South Atlantic, have been a point of contention between the UK and Argentina for decades. The conflict reached a peak in 1982 when Argentina invaded the islands, leading to a brief but intense war between the two nations. The UK ultimately retained control over the Falklands, but tensions over the islands have persisted. When asked to address the Falklands issue, Starmer was once again non-committal. Reporters questioned him about Argentina's renewed claims, asking whether he could assure the public that no other overseas territories, including the Falklands, would be handed over under a Labour government. Starmer's response did little to ease concerns. He reiterated that the most important consideration regarding the Chagos Islands was securing the safety of the joint US-UK military base on Diego Garcia. He emphasized that the base is crucial to both the UK and the US, and that the deal had ensured the base's continued operation. However, he stopped short of guaranteeing that no further territories would be relinquished. Starmer's remarks drew immediate backlash from a number of political figures. A spokesperson for Downing Street was quick to clarify the government's position, stating that the deal concerning the Chagos Islands did not signal a change in the UK's broader policy regarding its other overseas territories. However, this statement did little to quell the controversy, especially given the timing of Argentina's renewed push for sovereignty over the Falklands. Just hours after the Chagos deal was made public, Argentina's Foreign Minister Diana Mondino publicly expressed her approval of the agreement. She hailed it as a positive step toward ending what she described as outdated colonial practices, and said it demonstrated a willingness on the part of the UK to reconsider its stance on its overseas territories. Mondino further pledged that Argentina would take concrete steps to ensure that the Falkland Islands, which the country claims as its own, would eventually be returned to Argentine control. This has, unsurprisingly, caused concern among many in the UK, particularly those with an interest in protecting British sovereignty and maintaining control over the Falklands. The reaction from the UK's political establishment has been swift and, in many cases, highly critical of Keir Starmer's handling of the situation. Grant Shapps, who previously served as the Conservative Defense Secretary, was one of the most vocal critics of Starmer's decision regarding the Chagos Islands. Speaking to The Telegraph, Shapps argued that Starmer's willingness to hand over British territories demonstrates that he cannot be trusted to safeguard the nation's interests. Shapps suggested that had Starmer been in power during the Falklands War, the outcome might have been very different, implying that Starmer would have handed the islands over to Argentina without a fight. Shapps was not alone in his criticism. Other prominent conservative figures quickly weighed in, expressing concern over what they see as a worrying trend in Labour's foreign policy. Boris Johnson, the former Prime Minister, did not mince words when he spoke about the issue. In an interview with Camilla Tominey on GB News, Johnson described the decision to cede the Chagos Islands as sheer political correctness and a misguided attempt to appear morally superior. He went on to say that the decision was made solely to give the appearance of dismantling what remains of the British Empire, and that it had no basis in practical foreign policy or national security considerations. Johnson's remarks struck a chord with many conservative supporters who share his view that the Labour Party's approach to foreign policy is driven more by ideology than by the practical needs of the country. He argued that giving up the Chagos Islands set a dangerous precedent and could embolden other nations, such as Argentina, to press their claims for British territories. Nigel Farage, another prominent political figure, has also weighed in on the controversy. Farage, a former leader of the UK Independence Party, UKIP, and a longtime critic of the European Union, has called for a parliamentary vote on the issue. He argues that no government should have the authority to surrender British sovereignty without a full and open debate in Parliament. Farage has long been a proponent of direct democracy, and he believes that decisions of this magnitude should not be made behind closed doors. What do you think about Keir Starmer's refusal to rule out giving up more British territories? Farage asked during an appearance on his radio show. Is this the kind of leadership we want for our country? Are we really going to allow a Labour government to slowly dismantle our sovereignty, piece by piece? I think the British people deserve to have their say on this. Farage's comments have resonated with many who feel that the issue of British sovereignty is too important to be left solely in the hands of politicians. The debate over the Chagos Islands and the potential implications for other British overseas territories has become a flashpoint in the broader conversation about the future of the UK's role on the global stage. Thanks for watching. Stay with us for more news and goodbye.